Hi, my name's Richard Hale from Battleboards. Welcome to part 3 of making the Italian boards. This part is concentrating on the specialist finishes that we're going to be providing for the board and introducing some airbrushing skills and techniques that you may want to try. You can see that pinky red or that pinky brown is now dulled down, which is why I was saying don't be so worried about the undercolours. It's just the sort of tone that we want to change from the actual sand. I've mixed up a sandy colour. This has got some stone dust in it, so it's got a bit of texture, and I'm now going to just sort of basically dry brush that over the top of our rock work to start bringing out some of those highlights and work. I'm going to use the same colour and just go over the actual base ground as well, and again that will emphasise the fact that the colours are blending from one surface to another rather than mixing up a completely different colour for the sand. I'm also going to lightly go over the buildings as well with exactly the same colour. Again, these buildings will change quite a lot later on. So I've gone around the whole board now with my sand colour. I've done the sandy road and all the ground areas. I've also dry brushed the same colour across some of the buildings, the walls, and also the sort of upper courtyard area as well. So it's all looking sort of like the same colour. You can still see the brown coming through, and now I'm going to add another dry brush on top of that, which is a lot lighter, and this one I'll use more sparingly and mainly on the tops of the rock, as if the light is hitting the top of the rock and lighting it up. It also is where it would get most of the sunlight, so it would be bleached from the top, and the lower section will be slightly darker. Now this is white mixed into the sand colour, so I'm only using a very limited palette range. There's a couple of reasons for doing that for me. If the client came back and wanted an extra few boards or an extra piece to go onto the board, I would have a good chance of matching that due to the fact that I control my colours. You don't need to do that, so you can have more flexibility if you're doing it yourself through the colours than I need to. But I find that you don't need a massive amount of colours to make it work. You just need a right balance. You need, for each component, you need three colours, three basic colours. You need a low light, a mid-tone and a highlight. The further you go on with that, the more colours you add to that. So you go 4 colours, 5 colours, 6 colours. You're just making it better and better and better. So it all comes down to how much time you want to spend adding the paint to your displays or your boards. But 3 is the minimum. So the next process now is to airbrush. I use a Badger 150 airbrush with a small compressor. Now the small compressor has got an automatic shut off, and you'll hear it purring away in the background. Now the reason why it seems to be struggling is because the automatic shut off will shut off when it thinks the airbrush is not in use. I've bypassed that system by putting a regulator on it, so the regulator actually leaks air, which is the way it regulates, so the compressor gets confused about whether or not it needs air or needs to deliver air, which is why you'll hear it turning on and off. You don't need a compressor that has an automatic shut off. What you do need is a compressor that regulates the air, so you can actually increase or decrease the air. Mine hasn't got a tank, so ideally if you've got a compressor with a small tank which acts as a reservoir, that's even better. But the airbrush you can see I've got here is not a gravity fed one, it's what they call suction fed, but again that's a term which is not correct really. It's not suction at all, it's not sucking up the paint in any form, but I can do a video showing that. So I'm going to start the compressor up now and start applying the paint using the airbrush. So I'm going to start applying the paint. The paint I've got is acrylic paint. It's been watered down And what I'm trying to do now is do the opposite to what I did with the highlight. The highlight was all about the sun coming down and hitting the rock work from the top. The airbrushing is all about low lighting and shadowing, so it's the opposite way around. So I'm putting in shadows. That was a raw umber I've added, and now I'm going to go in with a dark colour, black. Again, just picking up the shadows where I want them to be. Getting as low as possible. Okay, so I've turned the board round and I'm just going to continue spraying in blacks and browns into the lower section. So I've gone round with the black and the brown again, and then I'm just going to pick up some of the highlights. So I'm fairly happy with the rock work now at this stage. We now need to, or I need to now start thinking about the buildings. The lower buildings have already had some paint applied, so now it's a case of adding back in the building sections and bringing them up to the same level of paint and tonal colour as the overall board, so they can match in. And obviously the roofs will be different. This is where going back to your reference is going to help, and looking at the photographs and seeing how the colours change between buildings, what stains are actually running, and how the actual concrete work is being affected by the weathering. Okay, for those of you who want to try airbrushing but haven't got airbrushing, I said I'd let you in on some secrets and some tips of those who want to do those sort of techniques without an airbrush. I've been using these, which are from Model Mates. They're dyes, sort of weathering dyes that you can spray directly onto your work. These are extremely good for creating an airbrush effect without actually having an airbrush. I've been using these now for several months, and I've been really pleased with the effects that I've been getting. They're very easy to use. They're just simply a spray can. They're quite small, easily to control, and you can use them instead of having an airbrush. So that's I'd recommend looking into those. Okay, I think we're getting pretty close now to the sort of end of this process. I'm really happy with how it looks and how it's sort of worked out. I'm just going to finally just spray some of this Model Mate spray into the rock work as well. Sections of colour, I think, is the idea. So I'm just going to go around and spray some of that in. But I think you would agree that the overall board is looking really nice. There's probably I'll probably do some more tinkering with it as we go on, but I think that's enough for this point now. I think it's time to push the whole board back and do the front boards, and then balance all the four boards together. Okay, thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the movies. They are, you know, they do take some time to do, and they're a bit clunky in places, so I apologise for that. This is a bit new to me, but I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've got some really good tips from me. I will continue to probably make some more movies so you can see the boards completed. The next section, which is the river section, has a whole load of new techniques that I've not shown before, so it'd be interesting to see how they look, and catch up with me on those if you can. Thanks very much for subscribing. I've really appreciate those who have. It's been great to see some feedback from these movies, which is, like I say, have taken a bit of time to put together, and so they do slow production down quite some. So thank you very much for watching.